10 minutes before the march began, I heard my soon-to-be son-in-law sneer that sleeping with my daughter would make him sick, and his groomsman's laughter slid under the dressing room door like oil, coating every ribbon and vow with something rancid. I needed one move that protected her dignity, stopped the wedding without burning our lives down, and made the bill land exactly where it belonged. So I created a small noise in the hallway to draw him in, and let gravity do the rest. You're watching Revenge Files. Subscribe for a new twist daily. I've been called a lot of things. Planner, meddler, even overprotective. But that afternoon I was simply a mother with a clipboard and a clock. The venue was Maple and Stone Event Hall on Parsons Avenue in Columbus, Ohio, a renovated brick warehouse with chandeliers that made ordinary people feel cinematic. It was September 23, 2023. My daughter, Maya, 27, the softest soul I know, was scheduled to walk at 5 o'clock. I had signed nothing but a backup authorization in June when the florist got nervous. Every other contract listed the groom, Derek Lawson, 29, as the responsible party. The bridal suite smelled like hairspray and eucalyptus. I stepped into the hallway to check the timeline, and that's when I heard it. The thought of sleeping with that fat pig makes me sick. He said it like a joke tossed into a trash can, expecting the lid to clang shut. The laughter that followed wasn't teenage laughter. It was grown men letting cruelty stretch its legs. I didn't flinch. I breathed. Then I made a decision that felt like snapping a ruler over a knee. I nudged a metal cart with my hip and let a water glass wobble to the edge. The clink was polite, curious. Derek peeled away from his pack and rounded the corner. His tuxedo hung from him like he hadn't earned it yet. I kept my eyes tired, harmless. I asked for help reaching an extra garment bag on a top hook. He stepped closer. I watched his reflection in the mirror, not his face. Rough crowd, I said lightly, like nothing mattered. And then, careful as folding a flag, I lifted my phone, screen dark, camera already rolling. He smirked. Just locker room stuff, Rachel. We're men. She'll be fine. It's not like I'm in this for the honeymoon. There it was, a sentence that walked itself into my pocket. My fingers stayed steady. You mean what you said? He shrugged. Look, you bought the pretty party. Let's not pretend it's anything else. I heard my pulse the way you hear bass through apartment floors. I ended the recording, locked the screen, and thanked him for the pretend favor. He went back to the groomsmen. They were still laughing. But the shape of the evening had shifted. There were two things I stood to lose if I got this wrong: my daughter's hope and my savings. Between the venue, photographer, DJ, and florist, the deposits totaled $14,200, most of it gifts I'd scraped from overtime and selling my silver tea set. The venue's contract had a clause I'd read 3 times when we signed. If the event canceled within 24 hours, the responsible party owed 80% of the remaining balance. Derek had insisted on being that party. He said, "A man handles his business. Good. Let a man handle it." Except, there was a trap I'd set for myself months earlier. The backup authorization. Kendra, the venue manager, had talked me into keeping a card on file just in case. I'd signed a form that said they could charge only with my written consent if the primary payment failed. It was nothing, until it wasn't. I texted Kendra, "We need to talk," quietly. Now, I met her by the service stairwell under a blown-up black and white photo of an old freight elevator. I showed her the contract page with Derek's signature and the responsible party line highlighted. I also handed her a printed copy of my backup authorization with a sticky note I'd written in July: "Charge only with written confirmation from me same day." She scanned quickly, the way a person checks the weather radar before a picnic. "Is something wrong?" she asked. "Potentially," I said. "I need an email from you timestamped today confirming that Derek S. card ending in 1083 is the primary and sole authorizer for charges related to tonight's event, and that my backup authorization is inactive unless I send written consent." Kendra lifted an eyebrow. "That's our policy already. Then memorialize it." To her credit, she didn't argue. She typed on her phone, CC'd the billing office, and within 5 minutes my inbox chimed with the email. 2:41 p.m. Subject line: payment authorization confirmation. Benton Lawson event. I opened it twice, once to read, once to screenshot. Then I forwarded it to my personal Gmail and printed a copy in the office. The paper felt warmer than the air. But then the officiant knocked on the bridal suite door and asked where to leave the marriage license after the ceremony. The license. If it got signed and filed with Franklin County Probate Court, undoing the legal part would be its own separate battle. I took a breath. I asked Reverend Alicia Boyd to step into the hallway with me. Her eyes were calm in the way lake water is calm before a wind changes it. "Reverend," I said gently, "we need to pause that license for a moment. No signature unless I or Maya confirm in front of you. This is not about your fee. You will be paid either way." She searched my face, then nodded once. "I honor the bride's well-being before a script," she said. "I won't sign anything until she asks me to." I could have cried. Instead, I wrote it down. Every promise, every boundary, on paper. Back in the suite, Maya looked like 100 windows catching the same sunrise. She touched her lip with a brush and smiled at me, trusting. I had to change the story she was walking into without shattering her reflection. I knelt. I took her hand. "I love you more than you can imagine," I said. "I heard something cruel outside, and I need to speak with you alone for 5 minutes." Her bridesmaids melted away with the grace of well-trained friends. I played the recording, short, clean, no commentary. Her face didn't crumple, it sharpened. She didn't cry. She set the lip brush down and said very quietly, "Okay. Some people need an hour to scale a mountain. My daughter needed 30 seconds. We're not doing this," she said. "We will not let him turn me into a punchline. We can turn the reception into a celebration of you," I said. "We can feed our guests, dance to your favorite songs, and go home with our heads up. But the ceremony stops." She looked at the dress, white satin that didn't seem silly anymore. It seemed like armor. "Then I need to change how I walk down that aisle," she said. "I'll walk to tell them myself." She pulled out her phone. "Write what I should say." "No," I said, "say what you already know, except the practical machine behind a wedding keeps grinding even when hearts change." At 3:05 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from my bank. Reminder, scheduled charge from Maple and Stone Event Hall $11,360, pending 5:30 p.m. scheduled. They must have queued balances to settle after the cake. My stomach went cold. I hustled to the office again. Kendra had left to fix a catering issue. A junior coordinator named Lila stood at the printer. "I need billing," I said, dialing the number in Kendra's email. When the billing clerk answered, I spoke very precisely. "This is Rachel Benton. Do not charge my card tonight. Per your 2:41 p.m. email, Derek Lawson's card ending in 1083 is the sole authorized primary for all charges. That text from my bank is a pre-authorization. Revoke it now." The clerk tapped keys. "I see your note about written consent. I'll remove the queued secondary. Send me confirmation." Within a minute, I had it. A second email, 3:12 p.m. Subject line: pre-authorization removed. No secondary charging without written consent. I printed it, then photographed the printout with my phone because redundancy saves lives. Meanwhile, Derek was doing what petty kings do when they feel their throne shift. He was getting louder. He slammed a door in the groomsmen's suite hard enough to make the hinges complain. He stalked into the hallway, and this time he didn't smirk, he snarled. "What did you tell her?" "That you're not ready to be a husband," I said. "She will speak to the room. The license will not be signed." He stepped too close, breath minty and sour with something underneath it. "You're going to pay for this." I didn't flinch. "Only if I sign." His hand twitched like a thought he didn't want to have. Before the twitch could become something else, security rounded the corner. I had asked for them, politely. The new guard, a woman with shoulders that meant business, stood between us. "Sir, let's keep hands to ourselves." She said it like a mother with a toddler in a shopping cart. He backed down, muttering. Guests began to arrive at 4. They smelled like perfume and warm cars. The string trio warmed up with Moon River, and the aisle candles made the room feel like a promise. At 5:05, when the coordinator would normally cue the processional, I walked to the front. Reverend Boyd stood beside me. We weren't hiding. Maya stepped from the doors, not in tears but steady, the way a lighthouse is steady even when the sky is not. "I know you came to watch a covenant," she said into the microphone. "You'll still see one, just not the one printed on the program. I won't marry a man who talks about me like a joke. Please enjoy the food, please dance. I'm going to love myself in front of you instead." There was no riot. There was a murmur that rippled backward, then settled, like a wave that knows it is not a storm. Derek lunged toward the aisle, but two of his groomsmen held him, maybe out of regret, maybe out of fear of being seen. He yanked free and stormed out into the parking lot. The door banged behind him. It sounded like the end of something and the beginning of something else. We redirected the day. The DJ announced, "Open dance floor." The caterer boxed the untouched cake for guests to take home. The photographer pivoted, capturing mothers and daughters, cousins spinning, an uncle teaching the wobble like it was sacred. There was joy that didn't need permission. We lost the ceremony, but we kept the afternoon. But then the invoices started moving like chess pieces. At 8:14 p.m., Kendra emailed a revised bill showing an 80% attrition charge triggered by event conversion. Derek, as responsible party, was on the hook for $9,088 of the remaining balance. The florist kept our deposit, fair enough. The DJ waived his overtime because I respect a woman who chooses herself. The photographer offered to transfer our package to a new chapter shoot free of charge if we scheduled within 90 days. People amaze me when we ask them to. The next morning, Derek tried to charge back the venue deposit from months earlier. His bank placed a temporary credit. The venue responded with contracts and emails. Derek also texted me, "That kind of text men send when they think volume can rewrite facts. I'm not paying a dime. Your backup card is on file. See you in collections, mommy." I didn't reply. I forwarded everything to a folder called Paper Trail, Lawson. On September 28th, I filed in Franklin County Municipal Court, Small Claims Division, for $9,742.85. The total of my out-of-pocket deposits I'd paid to keep the reception afloat. Filing fee $65. For wedding expenditures reasonably relied upon under false pretenses and for damages caused by breach of contract as responsible party. I attached the recording transcript. I attached Kendra's 2:41 p.m. and 3:12 p.m. emails. I attached the florist invoice, the DJ receipt, the photographer's credit memo, the officiant's invoice marked paid, ceremony canceled prior to commencement. I included a statement from Reverend Boyd, license not signed or filed at bride's request. He was served on October 3 at his apartment in German Village. He responded with a counterclaim calling me defamatory and controlling, asking the court to make me pay his tux rental and the bar tab he and his friends had run up at a sports bar after they left our venue. The audacity was almost funny. Almost. The hearing was January 18, 2024, Courtroom 12B, snow melting into dirty lace on the courthouse steps. Magistrate Owens presided, a man with a careful mouth and a gaze like a level. Small Claims isn't TV. It's a table, a couple chairs, and facts. I dressed like a woman who believed facts were enough. Derek arrived in a wrinkled suit, eyes red with something, either sleep or the absence of it. He had printed screenshots from a group chat where his friends joked that I was a hall monitor. He had nothing with a signature. I narrated precisely. I placed Exhibit A on the table, the venue contract with responsible party, Derek Lawson. Exhibit B, the 2:41 p.m. email, payment authorization confirmation. Exhibit C, the 3:12 p.m. email, pre-authorization removed. Exhibit D, the audio transcript with my affidavit. Exhibit E, the revised invoice from Maple and Stone assigning balance to Derek based on the attrition clause. Exhibit F, receipts for my deposits and payments made. Mrs. Benton, the magistrate said, what exactly do you claim he did that triggered these balances? He made clear, minutes before the scheduled start, that he had no intention of treating my daughter with basic dignity, I said. We canceled the legal portion. The event converted at our option. Per contract, the responsible party owes the attrition amount. My claim covers my deposits and the vendor charges I had to absorb to salvage the reception for 130 guests who had already arrived. Derek leaned in. She's using a private recording. That's illegal. The magistrate didn't blink. In Ohio, one-party consent to record conversations is permitted. Miss Benton was a party to the conversation? He looked at me. I asked a question. He answered. My voice didn't shake. Admitted, the magistrate said. Mr. Lawson, do you have any evidence that Miss Benton agreed to pay these balances? He shuffled. They said she had a card on file. Did she authorize charges in writing? The magistrate asked. He didn't answer. Silence can be loud when it's supposed to hold words. Magistrate Owens took a minute and typed. The keys made a calm tapping sound, like rain on a porch roof. Then he read, "The court finds that Defendant Lawson executed the venue contract as the responsible party. Plaintiff Benton established by a preponderance of evidence that her secondary authorization was revoked in writing prior to any charges. The event's conversion was precipitated by defendant's conduct and decision not to proceed, triggering the attrition clause. The court awards Plaintiff Benton $9,742.85, plus the $65 filing fee, plus statutory interest at 5% per annum from the date of judgment. Defendant's counterclaim is denied." Bang of a gavel? No. Just the printer coughing out paper that changed the shape of a year. He appealed to no one in particular. "This is insane," he said. But the clerk stamped the judgment with the date, January 18, 2024. Stamps are final in a way loud men are not. Collections isn't a movie montage either. It's forms, patient checks of employer information, and letters mailed certified. In February, we filed for garnishment after Maple & Stone forwarded an unpaid balance notice they'd also sent to Derek. The garnishment order went to his employer, an automotive parts supplier on Alum Creek Drive. The HR manager obeyed the law. 10% of his disposable earnings dripped into a clerk's office account until the judgment was satisfied. It ended on a Tuesday in June, an ordinary little deposit that closed the ledger. Except, there was still the matter of the chargeback Derek had lodged. His bank had temporarily credited him, the venue's processor fought it. That dragged into spring. I wrote a statement for their packet, attaching the judgment. In May, the processor notified Maple & Stone chargeback reversed. Funds returned, the attrition amount landed, like a book put back on the right shelf. Maya didn't watch any of this unfold the way I did. She found an apartment with high windows and plants on the sill. She kept her wedding dress zipped in its bag for a month, then took it to a tailor and had it dyed a pale cornflower. She wore it to a gallery opening in June with white sneakers. People gasped for the right reasons. She laughed with her whole face. The photographer kept her promise. On a blue Saturday in July, we met at Schiller Park and took photos where nobody had to pretend. Maya stood barefoot in the grass with the hem of her now cornflower dress whispering around her ankles. The photos looked like proof of concept for survival. I didn't win everything. We lost the cake deposit. The florist kept the balance of what wouldn't wilt. But we converted waste into witness. The DJ started offering pivot packages at a discount to brides who changed their minds for reasons like ours. Reverend Boyd started including a 5-minute private check-in with every couple before she signed anything. A small practice that might save 1,000 futures. As for Derek, he tried to message in August. "We should talk." I didn't respond. I wasn't his audience. He ballooned and deflated, online, posting gym selfies, and then vague quotes about loyalty like the internet was a confessional. People who knew better stopped liking his posts. The quiet ate more of the noise. There were nights this winter when I sat in my kitchen with spreadsheets, trying to force the arithmetic of anger to equal justice. It never did. The math that worked was different. Print, date, sign, ask, verify, confirm, protect the license, revoke the backup, put the responsibility back where it was written down to live. When relatives asked at Thanksgiving what had happened, I told the truth without embroidery. We canceled a wedding and kept the reception. We moved the bill to the man who earned it. We went to court, we won. Then I passed the rolls and let the conversation drift to someone's new cat. I kept the audio file, not because I planned to replay it, but because sometimes a mother needs to remember the exact texture of the moment before she stood up. It's only 10 seconds long. His words are uglier than he is. My voice is soft when I ask the question. The clink of the water glass at the beginning sounds like nothing. Then it becomes everything. On the anniversary of the day we didn't hold a wedding, Maya and I went back to the Maple & Stone parking lot with coffees. We sat on the curb. The late September light turned the red brick to something closer to blood orange. She leaned on my shoulder, the way she did when she was 8, and the world was unfamiliar in a kinder way. "Do you ever wish I hadn't told you?" I asked. She shook her head. "That was the first day I chose me," she said. "I would have found out eventually. I'm grateful it was then and not 5 years later with a mortgage." We walked around to the freight elevator photo in the hall. the one by the service stairwell where I first asked Kendra for a time-stamped email. I thanked that younger version of myself under my breath for remembering paper is stronger than noise. When we left, I held the door for an older couple coming in to tour the place for their vow renewal. The woman touched my arm and said, "Is it as beautiful as everyone says?" "It's exactly what you make it," I said. Sometimes I think about the laugh I heard through the door that afternoon. It was the kind of laugh that thinks it is safe. But laughter underestimates mothers like me. We don't need to shout to have the last word, we only need to write it down and mean it. And when I hear a glass clink in a quiet room now, I don't flinch. I just listen, and then I move.